Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your Monday Gaming Team. My name is Jules Gill, and I'm joined by my son, Ewan Patterson, and today we are talking about Star Wars McClanky. McClanky. No, we're actually talking about Star Wars Fallen Order, because there is a lot of talk about this game. So many people have had their hands on over the weekend now and are coming back
including me, with these greasy things.
Including you, and they're saying that it's one of the best Star Wars games, not in just recent memories, but actually like quite up there in terms of the whole franchise.
Not to spoil the review later or anything, but it is pretty good.
I was about to lead into that because Ewan will be doing the review. It'll be going up on the site, and also there'll be a video coming out for that as well, which would be great. So it's good that you're here and have had hands-on with the game, because we're going to be talking about something a little bit different today, and that is the fact that despite the glowing reviews from both the fans and the critics, EA does seem to have sent this game out to die a little bit.
It's a bit of a habit with Respawn, isn't it? I mean, we had Titanfall 2 get sandwiched in between both Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty, was it World War 2 that same year?
Yeah.
I can't remember now, was it Infinite Warfare maybe?
It was a Call of Duty.
Yeah, it was a Call of Duty, so it comes out every year, of course it was. But yeah, like it seems very weird to me, but even before, release, it became apparent quickly after E3, when they demoed that big set piece on Kashyyyk where you're in the AT-AT, which is a great set piece in the game, by the way, no slight against that. But it quickly became apparent after those demos that there was more to this game than those initial kind of demos actually let on. There was a whole Metroidvania-esque element. There was a definite Dark Souls element that hadn't really been,
Dude, you can't compare a game to Dark Souls. You don't know, this is the internet now. That's become a meme now.
Exactly. But there was a certain element there that
challenging.
Challenging.
It's a challenging
that wasn't
element.
Actually telegraphed before release, and that was a shame, because when we got these previews from the sites like Game Informer, and they were talking about how you had your own ship that you could customize, you can go to different galaxies, and then while you're in hyperspace, you can go and walk around the ship and do all this, and there's a whole backtracking element involved, and all this and all that. That wasn't really telegraphed at the very beginning, and I know there's a whole focus on making sure that at E3 you show your biggest, most bombastic set piece that you possibly can to reel people in, like Uncharted does, but the best things about Fallen Order, I feel, still weren't telegraphed to the public in a very compelling way.
Well, the interesting thing is that the moment that you've described that was shown off to the public, it made people think, oh, this is just going to be kind of like Battlefront 3, because of the way that it had like a grandiose, like sort of attack system, and like everything was going on, and big battles everywhere, and everyone was just kind of like, oh yeah, cool, this is just going to be the same experience that what we've been sold before. But the description that you've given me, and from other people who've had hands-on with the game, they're saying that it's a completely different thing. It's so single-player focused. It's like there obviously is a much greater focus on the combat system and depth in that. And it's a case of, why wasn't EA marketing this properly? It seems like they were so hands-off with this. Maybe it was because the game was in development before they took over Respawn. Maybe that was a case of they were just like, right, well, that's your kid, you deal with that. But it kind of makes no sense, because apparently, their Visceral Games was working on another Star Wars.
Yeah, there was Project Ragtag, and there was Project Orca. So Ragtag was the Amy Hennig one, and then Orca was a different open world Star Wars game that they also can.
But they can both of them off, because they thought that this game was the one to go with, because they said it looked better. And yet, with the marketing, the way that they've been sort of appropriating this to the public, no one seems to know what this game was about before it dropped. It was almost like shadow launched for a AAA title.
And it's ridiculous to me, because I think anyone who's played Fallen Order right now will know that there is a general lack of polish for the title, and that it probably could have benefited with a few months of, further in development. But at the same time, I totally agree with you. I think, EA haven't really necessarily push this, because Star Wars is a huge license, and having it come out a month before the last big Star Wars film, the Skywalker saga, along with the fact that it's just before Christmas at the same time, makes business sense to them. The less kind of assets you funnel into those things, because Star Wars does sell itself, the less you can, you have to worry about that in that regard. But at the same time, you still do have to market your games effectively. And it feels as though they've kind of wanted to have their cake and eat it. They wanted to have it before Christmas, but they're not going to give it that big push at the same time, which is a little bit of a shame, because, I feel what Respawn have crafted here is a very unique Star Wars game. And let's not mince words here, it's the Star Wars game fans have wanted for the past decade.
And that might be one of the reasons why EA's not pushing it, because it's something that the fans have directed rather than what they've told the fans that they want. They can't monetize this.
Well, that's the other thing as well, because this is the crazy thing, the last big single player Star Wars game that we had before Fallen Order was The Force Unleashed 2, which was 2010.
Wow.
That was ridiculous.
I mean, we don't count the sort of Battlefront 2 single player.
Oh, no, that's multiplayer focused. But that was pretty good. And the thing with Battlefront 2 as well is that we've seen that have a revival over the past year. DICE have really worked hard to resurrect that game, and it is genuinely worth playing now. I have a blast playing Battlefront 2 all the time. It's nowhere near, the loot box-ridden controversy it was at launch.
Yeah.
But, even with Battlefront 2 today, there is still a monetizable element. You can still invest microtransactions to get cosmetics, which is totally fine. It doesn't influence gameplay, so who do we care? But with Fallen Order, Respawn went on the record and saying there's going to be no monetizable elements for this game going forward. So everything you get, you unlock in the game, which is great because, that's like the old, like Spider-Man did.
That's how it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
And Spider-Man was literally everyone was going like, oh my god, it's championing this thing of like a return. It's like, it shouldn't be a big deal to have unlockables in your game. But maybe it was because of that fact that EA were just kind of like, we can't make billions off of this, so let's just push it out. Like, they're probably trying to save the money on the marketing cost by just going, right, if we release it in this window, then people will just get hyped for it regardless. But that is such a dismissive way. Maybe it's because they've had their fingers burnt by the Battlefront 2 experience that they're just not confident enough to market a Star Wars game because they're afraid of getting backlash.
And I think they're getting more. There's another Star Wars game coming out next year, and I forget when exactly EA's tenure of the license runs up.
Right.
But this could be, this could maybe spell something. Maybe are EA going to continue making Star Wars games in the future? I would hope so if it means Respawn get to do a follow-up to this game, because they have some great ideas going on. When we were back in London, me and Scott the other month, they were saying that they only made this one game in mind, and they hope that it can actually do whatever. So I hope that EA see the value in a true single-player Star Wars game. But when you compare the millions that Fallen Order will probably make compared to the billions that FIFA Ultimate Team and whatever else EA has in their library, it probably is it's inconsequential. And maybe when they look at the actual value, the licensing costs of actually having the Star Wars license, whether or not they see the value in that, given they couldn't heavily monetize Battlefront 2 after the controversy, they can't heavily monetize Fallen Order, that puts them in an awkward position.
But they should. They taking money off of the table, which I know is a very big deal for them. They should market this because it's almost like their chance to go out on the global platform and say, we are still fans of Star Wars as much as you are, because we are giving you what you have told us you wanted from the previous games that we put out. It's a single-player, narrative-focused game with tons of deep combat and customization in ways that you feel like you're progressing every single way. Why didn't they just go up there and be like, we are putting a ton of money marketing this? Because a good game will do wonders for their reputation. But if they look like they are basically going, right, well, you're not part of the family, kids, you're the second ones that I keep up in the attic, and you can only come out and have the bones from the turkey at Christmas, that's not going to put them in good books. Everyone else is just going to go, well, why isn't EA pushing this? Is EA ashamed of the fact that it's actually put out a good game? That's what it seems
the shame of actually making something that people enjoy.
But I don't know where this puts them, because it's such a strange maneuver. Again, you brought up the Titanfall 2 scenario. They sent that game out to die. They could have easily have delayed it to a better time window to give it a better chance. This isn't the case here. They've given it a great window, but they've just given no push behind it whatsoever. And are you going to be surprised if in a couple of months' time people are going, wait, what was that game again? Like, I didn't even know that was out.
You can definitely see, if you just take a look on YouTube and type in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, I mean, obviously don't do that if you've not finished it, because there are spoilers everywhere, but if you look at it, you'll see that the interest in this game is phenomenal. There are millions and millions of views of so many different, videos about the game, including specific story beats as well, because honestly, Star Wars has such an incredible, diverse, fandom that spans millions of people. So of course, and maybe there is a whole element of there that EA take this audience for granted. But I am curious to see if this is a subtle indication of what they want from the license going forward, because I don't think we're going to get a Battlefront 3. We might do. I would like to see, because obviously the DICE are still supporting Battlefront 2 almost like a Overwatch type, Siege type model, where they're investing loads in free content updates, which are really, really good. We've got a Rise of Skywalker one coming in December. But we do have to consider, are there any other Star Wars games in the works from EA right now that are either going to be single-player focused or multiplayer focused?
Well, there was actually, this whole conversation sparked off a little bit of a rumor, which was the fact that EA are going to use this and possibly have lower sales to justify not putting single-player experiences into multiplayer titles. Because do you not remember there was a whole discussion a long time ago with Call of Duty, X% of people don't finish the campaign, and it was a very, very high amount. So they used that to justify taking the single player out of Call of Duty. They might be using this as a scapegoat, effectively, as a martyr, to go out there and be like, well, we gave you what you want, but you didn't buy it. But we can't buy it if we don't know it exists.
This seems like do
you know what I mean? I feel like it's a Palpatine maneuver.
It's like the Clone Wars thing. They're just, you're here right now. Just like, I ever told you the tragedy of Darth EA, the The frustrating. I don't know. I can't think of anything that's negative that rhymes with wise, but there we go.
Darth Syphilis would have been my one.
Darth Syphilis, the
Plagueis.
We've sunk into a new low here. We've gone to the dark side.
I know, but still, like, the Fallen Order is like, from what you're saying, it's a great game. There's a few issues with it, and obviously your review's going to be coming out soon on that. But if you want to support the license in a way that encourages growth into single-player games, this is the perfect time to do it. As we always say, you should vote with your wallets. And I'm not telling you that you need to go out and buy it, but I'm just saying that if you were begging and praying for a Star Wars game that focused on single-player, narrative, deeper combat, and engaging characters, then this is a perfect chance for you to try it out.
Completely. Well said.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, like, EA, please don't mess up this license, because honestly, I hate to say it, they've got enough money and enough of a creative team to turn around good games. That is not in question. Just don't wrap your shady practices all over it and bury a decent one just because you didn't make it first.
Yeah. I mean, Fallen Order was the chosen one.
Yeah,
it was my brother. I loved him.
It's got the morally high ground at the moment as well because it doesn't have microtransactions and loot boxes in. So come on. But there we go. That's been our thoughts on Star Wars: The Fallen Order. Let us know what you think about it down in the comments section below. Are you going to pick it up? Did you even know this game was going to be released? Because it'd be quite interesting to hear your guys' opinion. As always, you can go follow me at RetroJ over on Twitter, and you can follow my son at
Ewan Ruins Things.
You are damn right you can. Hope you have a fantastic day, whatever you're getting up to. We'll speak to you soon.
Bye.
McClunky.
McClunky.
McClunky.